What's up, guys? Matt Brown here for thelines.com, playpicks.com, and let's do some previews, some picks, some predictions for the Cincinnati Bengals here in 2021. Right here you see is the thelines.com homepage. You click on this NFL tab right here. It's going to take you to right here where we have all of our betting guides. Cincinnati Bengals, where we're going to start, brings up this new page for us right here. Now, look, this Cincinnati Bengals team, we know in a very tough division with the Ravens and the Browns, the really, really up-and-coming Browns with all that they did. So we're going to try to make something out of all this. Let's take a look at what they did in free agency here. If you are a fan of the Cincinnati Bengals, I think that you like what they did, right? They bring in defensive end Trey Hendrickson. He had 50 quarterback pressures last year, so to bring him in, I think is pretty huge. They brought in corner Mike Hilton. They brought in Chidobe Awuzie again. They brought in Riley Reif to play left tackle. They brought in Larry Ojinobi to play defensive tackle. And, look, from a free agent standpoint, I think they did pretty good. And then from a draft pick standpoint, we know first round pick, were they going to take an offensive lineman, or were they going to take Jamar Chase? They take Jamar Chase in the first round, wide receiver out of LSU that didn't play, actually opted out in 2020. In the second round, they did go and get an offensive tackle in Jackson Carman. So they did address the offensive line needs there in the second round. Joseph Asai in the defensive end in the third round. Defensive end Cameron Sample in the fourth round. They took Tyler Shelvin, a defensive tackle, in the fourth round. They took Deontay Smith, an offensive tackle, in the fourth round as well. And this is a team here in the Bengals that was 29th offense DVOA last year and 27th defense DVOA. So something that you want to definitely improve on, which is why, as we move over here to DraftKings to take a look at the odds, for them to win the Super Bowl, for them to take it all down, way down here at the bottom at 150 to 1. It makes a lot of sense. But that said, our friends over at Football Outsiders are pretty smart. They have a mean projection of this team at 7.5 wins. So maybe there's a little bit of upside here. We'll talk about their win total here in just a second. You can see over here in the AFC, they are way down here at the bottom, 65 to 1 to win the AFC. And if we talk about just the division in general, and I talked about what a difficult division this is, you see the Ravens at plus 115, the Browns at plus 150, Steelers at 5 to 1, Bengals 25 to 1 to win that AFC North division. Very, very tough here. Football Outsiders has them as a playoff contender, and that's a metric that they have about 9 to 11 wins. They think if you have 9 to 11 wins, you'll at least be in the playoff picture. They have that happening 26.6% of the time. They haven't won in the Super Bowl 0.8% of the time. ESPN has this as the 24th rated roster heading into 2021. Again, despite all those pickups, there's still some holes there that need to be filled. Warren Sharp over at Sharp Football has this as the 8th toughest schedule. So we were looking at that, the schedule here for the Bengals, the 8th toughest schedule in all of football heading into 2021. And you can see whenever we start looking down here, it is just kind of a murderer's row here of games. I mean, look how they end out. I mean, look at this. Niners, we don't really know how the Broncos are going to be by by week 15, but Niners, Broncos, then Ravens, Chiefs, Browns. That is just brutal how to end this in the season there for this Bengals team. So 8th toughest schedule overall. He has them projected at 6.5 wins. So if we talk about, again, Football Outsiders has them at 7.5 wins. Warren Sharp has them at 6.5 wins. If we take a look at what the sportsbook say, they have it lined at 6.5. So Sharp Football has it right on what the number is at. And Football Outsiders actually has them a little bit higher than that, as does Pro Football Focus. Pro Football Focus actually has them at 7.6 projected wins through their 10,000 simulations. So, maybe there's a little bit of value on the over 6.5 here at even money. Again, Pro Football Focus with a whole win over as well as Football Outsiders. So maybe there's something there. Now, that said, there's going to be some battles here because this offensive line. Look, Jonah Williams was a great pass blocker last year, but he graded out 72nd out of 84 in run blocking. They brought in Riley Reif, like we said, so that's certainly going to be an upgrade from last year. They took a second rounder in Jackson Carman, so he's going to start at right guard. So they're getting some new blood in there. Rookies as an offensive lineman typically struggle a little bit. Year 2 and year 3 are the big leap years for offensive linemen. But look, second rounder should be good at least maybe next year. Left guard, don't really know who's going to play left guard right now. It's a position battle within camp. They took a couple of more linemen in the 4th and 6th round that we were talking about. Maybe they'll even look to get some of the playing time there as well. We look over here at the Bengals, defensive line, Carl Lawson, gone. They did sign Trey Hendrickson, as we mentioned, but he's just not, he's not Carl Lawson. Nobody's Carl Lawson. That said, he ended up getting lost for the season for the Jets. DJ Reader only played 5 games last year for this team, so he should provide a bump if he can come back and stay healthy. Look, a couple other free agent signings as well. But the problem is, as a whole, this team only had a 22% pressure rate, 31st in the NFL, which is probably why when we look over here at the book and it says to make the playoffs, the no, minus 750 on this Bengals team, minus 750. So you got like $750 to win 100 on them not making the playoffs. If you think they will, you're going to get 5-1 on your money with this team. Now, the offensive side of the ball, and you'll see this here in these team specials that they have over at DraftKings. You just click team specials, find the team, and you can see all these specials, and a lot of them around the offense. Because look, end of the day, this offense has a bunch of playmakers. Joe Burrow, if he is able to in fact come back healthy, and then you draft Jamar Chase. You already had T. Higgins. You already had Tyler Boyd. You already had Auden Tate. I mean, this is a really, really good 1-4 wide receiving core. Of course, Joe Mixon out of the backfield as it is anyway. So, I mean, there's a lot of playmakers here. And, of course, Joe Burrow was cruising last year before he got hurt, which is why you find a bunch of these, props that are just really all centered around the offense over here. T. Higgins over 1,000 receiving yards and Joe Mixon, whatever. There's all kinds of these Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to combine for basically 2,250 receiving yards, all this stuff. So anyway, there's some special props over here for the Bengals. I don't really want to play any of these, to be perfectly honest with you. I took a flyer on Joe Burrow to lead the league in passing yards, to be honest with you, because for me, my kind of prediction for this team is that they are going to really, really, really struggle on defense. And with that, they're going to be passing a ton and playing from behind. But there's all of these weapons, as we talk about. We go back and look at the schedule. You can see all these games that they're likely to be trailing in. But they have all these offensive weapons and a really good quarterback as well. And he's just going to sling it all over the place to try and score points here. So again, it's a long, long shot on Burrow to lead the league in passing yards. But it was a ticket I wanted to have in my account because, again, I think it's a good offense with a super bad defense, and that equals trailing in games, that equals not running the ball, that equals throwing the ball all over the place. And so that's how I played this team. I'm going to look pretty hard, though, at maybe an over here. If we kind of go down and try to figure out where games could be wins, right? Well, is the Chicago Bears team any good with Andy Dalton at quarterback? We'll have to figure that out. So maybe that's not maybe that's a winnable game right there. We know Jacksonville should be a winnable game. That puts us at 2. Detroit, winnable game. 3. Jets, winnable game. 4. Raiders, winnable game. 5. Are the Steelers going to be any good? We don't know. We don't really know. Is Ben Roethlisberger finally at the end of his rope here? Could they split with the Steelers? If so, that puts us at 6 wins. Then you just have to win one more of these final games in order to get over the hump. Now, look, that's a pretty tall task, right? But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are they going to end the season 0-6? Or can they pull out an upset here? Do the Browns already have something clinched by then and they end up playing their second team? Whatever. There's 17 games this year. So teams are going to be a little more conservative with their players, especially if they're already leading a division or leading a conference or whatever it might be, and depending on the seeding and stuff. And so I'm going to look pretty hard into maybe that. But again, I have the only ticket I have on Joe Burrow right now, and the only way I'm kind of, one of the biggest predictions I have for this team is that it's going to be a very, very bad defense with a pretty good offense with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Auden Tate, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon. So that's kind of how I look at this team. Not really bettable. Really, really like the Browns out of this division. Really, really like the Ravens upside as well. So just not a ton of bets here to be made on the Bengals for me from any sort of other standpoint, but maybe we'll get something in there. So we'll leave it in the comments. Again, just head over the lines, guys. As always, hit this little NFL tab. It'll take you right here to all of our betting guide content. So be sure and take in all of that stuff. Hit the subscribe button while you're here on this page. Really do appreciate you guys supporting this channel as well. And then let us know in the comment section what you think about the Cincinnati team. Do you think they can get over that 6.5 win total? Do you think it's an easy under? Do you think there's any other bets to be made? Let us know. We would certainly want to hear from all of you guys out there. Good luck on all your bets.